right, half past the top of the hour. Fox News alert. The no-fly zone in Libya is now in place. Admiral Mike Mullen says Operation Odyssey Dawn has made, quote, significant progress in 24 hours, halting Gaddafi's forces around Benghazi.
Wow. This is, we just learned that 3 B-2 stealth bombers that dropped 40 bombs in Libya have now returned home from where they've taken off. Caroline Chively has the details live from the Pentagon. Caroline.
Hi there, Brian. U.S. aircraft have now started those bombing runs that you mentioned, along with the British and the French aircraft. Admiral Mike Mullen, he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He says that they've seen no signs of Libyan aircraft during these bombing runs. Certainly great news. He also says that the no-fly zone is effectively in place over the skies of Libya. But Libya is certainly still fighting back. There's been anti-aircraft gunfire and explosions heard in Tripoli today, followed by cries of Allah Akbar, God is great. They've been going after those U.S. runs, which include Air Force fighter jets, Marine Corps Harriers, and also B-2 stealth bombers that you mentioned. 3 stealth bombers have dropped 40 bombs on a Libyan airfield. Those runs began here in the U.S. at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. The Navy tells us those stealth bombers have indeed returned home safely. The British also confirm they've been targeting the air defense system around Tripoli. U.S. officials tell us those systems had been severely damaged. Now, what we're seeing today is the second wave of the coalition attack. The first was when U.S. Navy ships and submarines fired 114 Tomahawk missiles. They targeted Gaddafi's SA-5s, his surface-to-air missiles, his early warning systems, and his communications. State television there has reported 48 people have been killed and 150 have been wounded, most of them civilians. But Admiral Mike Mullen says he has not confirmed, he cannot see that those airstrikes have killed any civilians. Allison, Brian, and Steve, back to you.
All right.
Caroline,
so Caroline, do you think, since they haven't seen any aircraft today, Libyan aircraft in the sky today, that means they were all wiped out earlier?
I think you can surmise that. The Navy and other military officials aren't approving that, but you can certainly see we have had 24 hours of heavy hitting, starting with those Tomahawk missiles, and now you've had the stealth bombers, the bombers coming down. I believe if Gaddafi had them, he'd have them up in the air.
I think you're right. All right, Caroline, thank you live from the Pentagon.
Bye.
All right, everybody, this is Herman Grower, here for another condemnation of our government. You can almost come up with a new daily condemnation for them. Yeah, we're bombing, we're now in another war for empire. Basically, there's always been leaders around the world that are tyrants, kill their people en masse. They destroy the fabric of peace, sometimes not just in their country but regionally. And it's very disheartening when we take sides. Obviously we're taking sides. Anybody knows that when there's interests to be had in a certain locale with some kind of dictator that we don't agree with, either our government and or big business doesn't agree with, then we find a reason to come up with some war against them. Basically, this Libya bombing is an illegal action. The whole theory behind going after Gaddafi is that he's some kind of unstable character that not just is violent to his own people and a tyrannical ruler and an ex-terrorist, of course, but he doesn't bow down to the kind of like the whole power structure of the world, which is pretty much the international banking cartel. If anybody does not know who controls this world. It's the ones that have all the money. The bankers finance pretty much everything that goes on. The bankers are the ones that got a multi-billion-dollar bailout. Okay, they got that bailout while Americans that did have a job, could support themselves, were pretty much destitute in a lot of respects. And the banking cartel is, basically got a bunch of money when they were the ones that lost a bunch of money. And they got our tax dollars. So that shows you how much power they have. They own our government. And big business, is in collusion with the banking, conglomerate around the world. Basically, they finance wars and they make money from wars because they own the businesses and defense, industry and all that. So I'd just like to hope people realize that this is as illegal as basically both wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, both totally illegal, both under false pretenses. And I'd just like to go over briefly a military history. From Wounded Knee to Libya, a century of U.S. military interventions. This is from academicevergreen.edu. I'm not even going to go through like the South Dakota, Argentina, Chilean. This is the 1890s. Jeez, Hawaii. It says Chicago, Korea, Panama, Nicaragua. It's the late 1800s. You guys can look this up yourself. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start from pretty much when I was born, 1978. So 1980, raid to rescue embassy hostages. That I won't count because that wasn't really. That says nuclear threat aborted bombing. But let's start with Libya in 1981. Naval jets, 2 Libyan jets shot down in maneuvers. That's basically illegal. El Salvador, Nicaragua, Lebanon, Grenada, Honduras, Iran, Libya again, Bolivia, Iran, Libya again, Virgin Islands, Philippines, Panama, Liberia, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Iraq again. This says Los Angeles with troops deployed against anti-police uprising. You don't even have to count that. That's not like a military intervention per se. But that I would have thought they would have delegated the National Guard to that. Then Somalia with the Clinton's great scheme, Yugoslavia, Bosnia, Haiti, Zaire or Congo, Liberia again, Albania, Sudan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Yugoslavia, Yemen, Macedonia. This says United States after the 2001 bombing reaction to hijacker jets. They flew jets over the U.S. Afghanistan, Yemen, Philippines, Colombia, Iraq. You guys get the point. Liberia, Haiti, Pakistan. God. Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and Libya again. So Libya comes full circle. Isn't that great? Just like to say that this is pathetic. This is pathetic that, and it's typical of why there are any terrorists at all. There wouldn't be one terrorist in this world if the West and Western nations did not exploit Africa, pretty much brown people everywhere in this world. You know, the U.S. and European nations have for too long exploited different peoples of the world that are in third world countries. We've taken over their resources. It's a crime. That's the reason there are terrorists, people. The reason there are terrorists. I am sorry, but this is the reason, and you gotta stop. You gotta stop believing the nonsense that's on TV. I used to be an ardent conservative, especially with military, and this is just what you get with that, that mind control. You get all this military intervention. What does military intervention get us? Nowhere. It just breeds hate. It just breeds. Wouldn't you hate if there was another foreign country that had their military occupied right outside your country's borders? Anyways, I'm pissed off. Really pissed off. Libya does not deserve to be invaded, and we don't have any authority, and the UN does not have any authority to go in there. This is pathetic and wrong and illegal. This is Herb and Grower. Thanks for viewing and watching. Post your comments or questions later.